What's going on, football fam? My name is Dave Sarner, and welcome to another edition of the Rise and Fall Fantasy Football Show, Week 9 edition. Now, in this week's games, we're going to be going over every single game on the Week 9 docket, as always. So just so you know, we cover one episode per game this week, so there's going to be a lot of episodes coming your way. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so you'll get notified when all of my videos go live, and then you'll have all that content ready for this Sunday. Now, with all that being said, enjoy the episode for Week 9. To start us off here for Week 9, we have the Thursday night matchup here. The Green Bay Packers are heading into San Francisco to face the 49ers. Now, of course, we did see what happened with the 49ers this week. They lost Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle for multiple weeks. Most likely the season, it seems like, for George Kittle. Not sure about that for Jimmy Garoppolo. But needless to say, these are big losses for San Francisco. Now, going into this game, the Packers are the favorite, even though they are on the road. -3.5 is where the Vegas odds opens with them, with an over-under of 50.5. With Jimmy out, with Kittle out, with maybe even Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, and A.J. Dillon all out for Green Bay, it could be a little harder to get those points this week. So I'm not quite sure if that over is quite worth it just yet. Now, let's get into the matchups here from a fantasy perspective. Before we get into these matchups, let's go back and see what they did last week. So the Green Bay Packers, they played the Minnesota Vikings last week. All right, the big story there, obviously, Davante Adams still coming in strong. 26.8 fantasy points. He had 12 targets, 7 catches, only 53 yards, but 3 touchdowns. He is clearly the number one elite receiver in the league right now, in my opinion, even over DeAndre Hopkins. When healthy, Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers is one of the deadliest connections in the league. And yes, I do mean that over DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. On the other side of things, Aaron Rodgers as well put up 22 fantasy points. Obviously, when you have 3 touchdowns and over near 300 yards, around 291 he had, you're going to have a good day. With that all being said, Jamal Williams was the next man up, 15.2 fantasy points, but he has been ruled out because of close contact of due to COVID of A.J. Dillon, teammate in the running back room, who actually tested positive yesterday. So with that being said, Jamal Williams has been ruled out. We are not sure yet if Aaron Jones is ready to go in this game. It's from what I can tell, the word that was being thrown around is pessimistic. That's not a good sign if you are Aaron Jones owner, or really Jamal Williams, and relying on him with all the buys and injuries and so forth. Tyler Ervin and Dexter Williams would be the guys that would be taking over. I'm not as excited for this. It would probably be Dexter Williams, the runner, Tyler Ervin, more of the receiver back. Could be very much a committee type of aspect, and I don't think they're going to be the vocal point. I do expect the Green Bay Packers to pass the ball, even though, you know, it's not the best matchup. But I would say this, when you look at the 49ers, they are giving up the 22nd least amount of points to quarterbacks and wide receivers. And that's pretty good, solid. It's the top half of the league in terms of giving up the least amount of points. However, for the running backs, they're giving up second least amount of points and the 27th most fantasy points to tight ends. I mean, these are high. Basically, they are stingy against tight ends, stingy against running backs. It's going to be a tough matchup. So I know Tyler Ervin and Dexter Williams could be the hot names, but they're going up against the 31st or the second best, 31st hardest team to run against in the NFL. So that's tough for any running back. Even if it was Jamal Williams this week, I'm not as excited about the matchups here. But if you need the depth, I get it, man. I've dealt with the same in my leagues as well. On the other side of things, the Packers defense here, they're giving up the 23rd most points to quarterbacks. So pretty good against quarterbacks, 26th against wide receivers, and 30th against tight ends. So they are stingy, top 10 in terms of defense against the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. However, the one glaring stat here, the Green Bay Packers let up the most amount of points to running backs. JaMycal Hasty, that is a big tick up. I think I even have him high, and I might put him even higher here. On my list, JaMycal Hasty this week is right now, currently as of Tuesday night, at number 15. He has a great matchup here. He's above guys for me like Myles Gaskin, David Montgomery, even Devin Singletary, and even Le'Veon Bell, who has a great matchup this week. And also above Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. I really do like this matchup here for JaMychal Hasty. The only reason why he's at 15 and not higher on my list is mainly because we just don't know with the Shanahanigans if it's going to happen again. Is Jerick McKinnon going to be the guy? Is Tevin Coleman end up playing? And then it's a mess. I don't like 3 running back committees at all. I don't like 2 running back committees, but I really hate 3 running back committees here. And that does quell my excitement a little bit. But again, most points to running backs the Green Bay Packers are letting up. Nick Mullins is going to be the starter. They need to establish the run. They just lost Kittle. They don't have Debo. They're going to have to rely on the run game. Someone needs to step up, and Hasty seems to be that guy from last week. Now, going back to what they did last week, Brandon Aiyuk, though, 19 points last week for him, 11 targets, 8 catches for 91 and a touchdown. We love that production. Really good to see that with somewhat Jimmy, but it's clear, truly clear, Nick Mullins loves Brandon Aiyuk. So even though it is a tough matchup here, 26 against that, I was going to say, yeah, maybe Brandon Aiyuk would be a great option, but Jair Alexander's shadowing is never something you want. We've seen him literally erase players the last couple of weeks. In my opinion, he might be one of the best shutdown guys in the league right now. The problem is the rest of the team is not that great, and there could be times where Brandon Aiyuk might be able to get away from him. But if last week told me anything, they put Jair on Justin Jefferson. So they're going to go after the speed guy, the guy that's going to be over the top, the guy that's the biggest impact. They're going to put Jair on. And right now for the San Francisco 49ers, that is Brandon Aiyuk. If anything, Debo being back would have actually helped Brandon in this situation. Maybe. It would have been able to spread it around enough. Most likely he would have been on him. But hey, I mean, you know what? If there's any chance that you can draw Jair's coverage away from you, you're going to want that. With that being said, I really don't like Brandon Aiyuk this week, even though he really played well last week. He was playing against Seattle, so I'm not going to hold any stock in that. It's kind of like playing Dallas. If the guy goes off against them, you kind of expect it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm not too overly excited. Nick Mullins did put up 17 points, but again, Packers 23rd most points to quarterback. So they are pretty stingy against the run. They're ranked 26th against the wide receivers, 30th at tight end. Again, tough matchup for the pass game. They truly need to get the run going. So with all that being said, no George Kittle. What do we do with Jordan Reed? Well, Jordan Reed scares the hell out of me, and he should for you too. I get it. Kittle, you're panicking. You need to find someone. Let's just take a step back. Because the reality is the tight end position is one of the weakest positions in the NFL. To give you guys the idea of this, let's just quickly go through quarterbacks. Top guy on the quarterback position, this is half-point PPR, standard quarterback scoring, if you will, 4-point touchdown, whatever. Patrick Mahomes, 207. Running backs, Alvin Kamara, 168. And that's a lot of receiving in there as well with him, obviously. Wide receivers, I can't believe it, but apparently Calvin Ridley is still leading the NFL. That can't be right. Apparently Calvin Ridley is still the top wide receiver in the league. I still don't know how that's possible, but at 126. Now, tight ends, guys. Travis Kelce, 119. Not bad. Not bad. Averaging around, 6th, 7th, 8th best running back. It's a super ineffective position this year. So the reality is, if you could find someone on a good streaming option, he might be a better option than going up against the 30th best defense against tight ends. You don't want that matchup with Nick Mullins having to throw to Jordan Reed. I get the potential, but it's not worth it in my opinion. On the other side of that, Robert Tonyan, I don't hate. It is a tough matchup. But like we said, no running backs, essentially. We don't know if Aaron Jones is going to be there. We don't know if he's not. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter. With that matchup, Robert Tonyan, throw him in the matchup here. I think he's going to have to get involved here. Lazard might be back. I don't know quite yet. I think it's a short week for this. Devontae Adams, you're going to start him. Robert Tonyan, I think is a decent starter. Now, I get it. 27th against tight ends. It's just as bad pretty much against the Niners as it is against the Packers. But you got Aaron Rodgers and Nick Mullins. Very big difference in the quarterback there. He got a lot of targets last week. He did see Jay Sternberger kind of take some production, still put up 10 points. I do like Robert Tonyan. A floor in a half-point PPR of about 5, in a full-point PPR would be about 7, is where I see Robert Tonyan. It's not great, but again, tight end is super weak. You might be able to find a nice flyer for any of these guys this week. But if you're going to stick with your studs, I have Robert Tonyan, I believe, at number 8 on the day, 7. Above Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, and Jared Cook. I'm going to respect the Aaron Rodgers might have to pass this ball 60 times this game. So, love him this week. I love Aaron Rodgers this week, even in a tough matchup. Again, Nick Mullins and Kittle. The whole thing's a mess for San Francisco, and I think Green Bay is going to need to throw the ball everywhere. And we've seen them kind of be able to utilize that tactic. They have Adams, Tunyon, and they might have Alan Lazard back. I love Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Jones goes, I do like him. It's a tough matchup. 31st against the run, 49ers are, so it's not the best matchup. But if you have Aaron Jones and he's starting, most likely, if you're like me, it's desperation. You're going to end up starting him. He might be also, like, especially if he's healthy and he's good to go, he's going to get, like, all the production now. All of it. Devontae Adams, you're going to start. Tunyon, we do like. Lazard, I don't love. I'm not going to go with the receivers outside of those guys in this game. Aiyuk, I am going to try to stay away from. Jair Alexander is going to be all over him like white on rice. You don't want that matchup. Nick Mullins, not going to go with it. But I really do like JaMychal Hasty. I think they're going to have to lean on the run. And even, it could be JaMychal Hasty and Jerick McKinnon that get some things going in this game, both getting some decent production. I can absolutely see that in what we saw Dalvin Cook just run all over this Green Bay defense last.